There is a real question about why this came out, at least the first batch that were found on November 1st, right before the midterms, and why they kept it silent for so long. And then there's a second question about why, when they found this first batch at his office in Washington, D.C., connected to the University of Pennsylvania, they didn't then say, oh man, we better search every place right now so we make sure we have all potential errant documents collected so we don't have to piecemeal get discovered and get found out on it. And they're not, it's been a mess. So I have lots of questions. But here on the question of transparency is NBC News, which is very interesting, right? Just to have the left-wing media raising real questions of President Biden on this, of his press secretary, on the promise of transparency he made to us. Satwan.
Do you acknowledge that the fact that the White House did not reveal this to the public, despite the fact that you've known about it for months, undercuts the president's promise of being transparent with the American people?
But here's the thing. They were transparent. There was transparency in doing what you're supposed to do when these items were discovered.
Not with the American people.
Look, I am here standing in front of you answering these questions.
Sharyl, is that transparency?
Well, it's not, but also I will point out, we're taking the word of the people involved in the alleged misconduct that they did what they said they did when they said they did it. I think they probably did conduct a search, and I'm assuming these sorts of things just based on history and what we've seen in the past. I don't think they did wait to discover these other things. I think they probably did conduct a big search. I think it's a mistake to rely upon the things that we're hearing now reported by the media or by the Department of Justice or by Biden's own lawyers. It's a mistake to take that at face value and assume that's an accurate representation of what really happened. But I would suggest when you say they should have conducted a global search at the time, I think they did probably, but that shouldn't have been them. That should have been special, independent people, clear to see classified information that would have been called in so that there could be, an ethical sense to this investigation that we could refer to. And isn't it funny how anything that could be negative to Donald Trump was leaked by the Department of Justice repeatedly, but nothing that could be damaging to Biden seems to be leaked until they're ready for it to come out, whether it's Hunter Biden's laptop stuff or whether it's these things. We know now Department of Justice officials can keep a secret when they want to keep a secret.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Yes, exactly. So we don't know how we're being spun or misled. What they're telling us this week is the first batch at that office in Washington, D.C., connected to his think tank, that they were found November 1st. The second batch was found December 20th in the garage. And I don't know when batch 3 was found. They say it's a document. We'll see. But that's another one, classified document that was found inside Mr. Biden's home in Wilmington, Delaware. I mean, the thing that's really aggravating, among others, is how flippant Joe Biden is being about this after lecturing us on 60 Minutes about how horrible Trump was. Here's just as a reminder, quickly, let's go back to the way he initially characterized the keeping of classified and even top secret, which is what he's done by his own admission, documents off property or unsecured or not with the National Archives. This is how he saw it, Joe Biden, in September, late September, September 18th on 60 Minutes, Top 5.
When you saw the photograph of the top secret documents laid out on the floor at Mar-a-Lago, what did you think to yourself, looking at that image?
How that could possibly happen, how anyone could be that irresponsible. And I thought, what data was in there that may compromise sources and methods? By that I mean names of people who helped or et cetera. And it's just totally irresponsible.
And now, asked about batch 2 that was in his garage at home. Listen to him, Sat2.
Classified material next to your Corvette. What were you thinking?
Let me, I'm going to get a chance to speak on all this, God willing, soon. But as I said earlier this week, people, and by the way, my Corvette's in a locked garage. Okay, so it's not like you're sitting out in the street.
So
but anyway,
was in a locked garage.
Yes, as well as my Corvette.
Wow.
sorry, that is just, I guess he has no choice but to take that approach. He's not going to say, hey, I'm guilty of the most heinous thing now that I said Donald Trump was guilty of the most heinous thing. But again, Megyn, it makes no sense. There's obviously still a lot of blanks to be filled in. That there was suddenly a search conducted by, $1,000 an hour lawyers of these places right before the election after Joe Biden's been president all this time. There's a reason all this took place. I suspect people knew well prior to the time we're being told they discovered the first batch of documents that there were potentially or maybe definitely classified documents in some locations that President Biden had. And there's even a chance that they knew, someone working with Biden or whoever his minders are, that they knew when he gave that interview in September and when they were attacking Donald Trump that Biden had committed some violations that could be seen as similar. So the question to that is, why would they not stop him from commenting on these things? Why would they press so hard on the Donald Trump documents? And I don't think the thing I'm about to postulate is necessarily what happened, but they make us think this way by the scheming that's happened in the past. What if they, whoever they are, already knew at the time they picked the fight with Donald Trump about the documents and decided to go to the FBI raid instead of communicating with him and dealing it in a civil matter? What if they already knew this? They, whoever they are, get Joe Biden to come down hard and say what a terrible violation this is, only to then reveal at a key point in time to them when they want it out that he did something that could be seen as similar. And now he's in, as I called it, a Kobayashi Maru, Star Trek reference, sort of a no-win situation, because he's boxed himself in. Who would be engineering that? And who would want all of this to be happening right now? I don't have the answer, but we know nothing happens by accident. And these narratives don't make it on the news. This story's not out because investigative journalists did hard work. This story's out, or even because of leaks, because they, whoever they are, wanted it out right now in this exact way.
Eric Bolling was asking me the other day, I went on his show on Newsmax, and he was saying, could it have been someone like Kamala Harris, maybe some civilian who we've never heard of? Like, who would have an interest in compromising Joe Biden or hurting Joe Biden? But I was saying with Alan Dershowitz, could go the other way. Could be Joe Biden doesn't want to see an indictment of Donald Trump because he recognizes he'd like to run against Trump. He thinks he can beat Trump. He thinks, I beat him once, I'll beat him again. And I don't know if I could beat Ron DeSantis. Why don't I do something to stop the Trump prosecution that doesn't really hurt me that badly politically?
Well, I think I'm just speculating here, but I think if that were the case, it would be easy enough for Biden to signal that there shouldn't be a prosecution. And I don't think Merrick Garland, even though he's independent, can do what he wants. I don't think he would prosecute if Biden were to send a signal that, hey, this is a former
come on,
president.
Cheryl. He doesn't interfere. Biden does not interfere with Merrick Garland.
Okay, so then let's go further. I think Biden could signal to Merrick Garland not to prosecute Trump, and people would buy that based on the fact pattern that we have. He wouldn't have to go to the trouble of setting himself up to create this big ruse to make Garland not prosecute.
Did you know your internet service provider knows literally everything you do online? How about that? Well, you have got to check out private internet access. These days, getting on the internet without a VPN is a risky business. Internet service providers are tracking your every move. They're looking at you. Big companies are profiting off of you. Cyber criminals are trying to steal your data. Jeez. Maybe at this point you're thinking, wait, what's a VPN? How's it going to prevent all that? A VPN is a virtual private network. That means private internet access encrypts your internet activity and disguises your online identity, making it more difficult for third parties to track your activities online and steal your data. Private internet access, a VPN, hides your IP address and encrypts your internet connection. This way, you're in control of your data and your digital life is shielded from all the rude snoopers. Plus, they have apps for all operating systems and they're really user-friendly. So if you want to enjoy all the benefits of private internet access, now is the time to subscribe. Go to piavpn.com/Megyn, piavpn.com/Megyn, and get an 83% discount. 83%. That's just $2.03 a month to protect yourself. And you also get 4 extra months completely free. But you must go to piavpn.com/Megyn for a truly private digital life. One last time, piavpn.com/Megyn. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.